Bacharuddin Jusuf Habibie was an Indonesian engineer and politician who was the third president of Indonesia from 1998 to 1999. Less than 3 months after his inauguration as the seventh vice president in March 1998, he succeeded Suharto, who resigned after 31 years in office. His presidency is seen as a landmark in transition to the Reformation era. Upon becoming president, he liberalized Indonesia's press and political party laws, and held an early democratic election 3 years sooner than scheduled, which resulted in the end of his presidency.
He was a native of Parepare in South Sulawesi. He was of ethnic Bugis Gorontalo Javanese descent from Kabila in Gorontalo and Yogyakarta. His parents, Alwi Abdul Jalil Habibie, an agriculturist of Bugis Gorontalo descent, and R.A. Tuti Marini Puspoardojo, a Javanese noblewoman from Yogyakarta, met while studying in Bogor. Habibie's paternal family comes from Kabila, just to the east of the town of Gorontalo in northern Sulawesi. He was the fourth of 8 children. Habibie's father died when he was 14 years old. In 2018, the Gorontalo provincial government agreed to support the construction of the B.J. Habibie's monument in front of the main gate of Jalaluddin Airport in Gorontalo Regency. In addition, it was proposed that State University of Gorontalo be renamed in honor of Habibie, although, in the end, the suggestion was not adopted. Habibie went to Delft, the Netherlands, to study aviation and aerospace at the Technische Hogeschool Delft, Delft University of Technology, but for political reasons, the West New Guinea dispute between the Netherlands and Indonesia, he had to continue his study at the Technische Hochschule Aachen in Aachen, Germany. In 1962, Habibie returned to Indonesia for 3 months on sick leave. During this time, he was reacquainted with Hasri Ainun, the daughter of R. Muhammad Basari. Habibie had known Hasri Ainun in childhood, junior high school and in senior high school at SMA Kristen Dago Christian Senior High School, Bandung. The two married on 12 May 1962, returning to Germany shortly afterwards. In 1960, Habibie received an engineer's degree in Germany with the title Diplom-Ingenieur. He remained in Germany as a research assistant under Hans Ebner at the Lehrstuhl und Institut für Leichtbau, RWTH Aachen, to conduct research for his doctoral degree.
Habibie and his wife settled in Aachen for a short period before moving to Oberforstbach. In May 1963 they had a son, Ilham Akbar Habibie. Habibie later found employment with the railway stock firm Wagenfabrik Talbot, where he became an advisor in designing train wagons. Due to his work with Makosh, the head of train construction offered his position to Habibie upon retirement 3 years later, but Habibie refused the position. In 1965, Habibie delivered his dissertation in aerospace engineering and received the grade of very good, giving him the title Doctoringenieur, Dr. Ing. The same year, he accepted Hans Ebner's offer to continue his research on thermolasticities and work toward his habilitation, but he declined the offer to join RWTH as a professor. His thesis about light construction for supersonic or hypersonic states also attracted offers of employment from companies such as Boeing and Airbus, which Habibie again declined. Habibie did accept a position with Messerschmitt Bulko Blohm in Hamburg. There, he developed theories on thermodynamics, construction, and aerodynamics known as the Habibie factor thermodynamics, Habibie theorem construction, and Habibie method aerodynamics respectively. He worked for Messerschmitt on the development of the Airbus A-300B aircraft. In 1974, he was promoted to vice president of the company. In January 1998, after accepting nomination for a 7th term as president, Suharto announced the selection criteria for the nomination of a vice president. Suharto did not mention Habibie by name, but his suggestion that the next vice president should have a mastery of science and technology made it obvious he had Habibie in mind. In that year, in the midst of the Asian financial crisis, this suggestion was received badly, causing the rupiah to fall. On the 21st of May 1998, just 2 months into Habibie's vice presidency, Suharto announced his resignation. Habibie, as the Constitution says, succeeded him as president. The following day, Habibie announced the Development Reform Cabinet, which removed some of the most controversial ministers in Suharto's last cabinet while maintaining others, with no major figures from the opposition. Within days of his appointment, he asked his relatives to resign from government positions, promised an early election, repealed some legislation, and ordered the release of political prisoners. Habibie was opposed to East Timorese independence but did offer East Timor special autonomy. Timorese independence forces led by the National Council of Timorese Resistance had been calling for a referendum in the territory for some time. Its chief diplomat, José Ramos Horta, proposed a transitional period of autonomy leading up to a referendum. 31 In late 1998, John Howard, the Prime Minister of Australia, sent a letter to Habibie suggesting that Indonesia defuse the East Timorese issue by providing autonomy to be followed by the promise of a referendum in the long run, following the method used by France to settle New Caledonian demands for independence. Wishing to avoid the impression that Indonesia ruled East Timor as a colony, Habibie surprised some by announcing that a referendum, offering a choice between special autonomy and independence, would be held immediately in East Timor. Leaders of the Indonesian Armed Forces, ABRI, were not consulted on this decision. On the 30th of August 1999, the referendum was held and the East Timorese people overwhelmingly chose independence. Subsequently, pro-Indonesia militias killed and displaced large numbers of people during the 1999 East Timorese crisis. On the 10th of September, General Wiranto allegedly threatened to stage a military coup if Habibie allowed in peacekeeping forces, causing Habibie to back down. On the 12th of September, however, Habibie accepted a UN-mandated peacekeeping force to halt violence. A UN administration followed in East Timor. The MPR special session in November 1998 decried the presence of corruption in Indonesia, focusing particularly on Suharto. In response to this, Habibie then appointed Andi Muhammad Ghalib as Attorney General. A tape of a telephone conversation between Habibie and Ghalib was made public. It raised concerns about the veracity of the investigation by suggesting that the interrogation of Suharto was intended only for public appearances. Under Habibie, the Indonesian government also began investigating and prosecuting Suharto's youngest son, Hutomo Mandala Putra, commonly known as Tommy Suharto. Ghalib charged Tommy in December 1998 in conjunction with the Guro scandal, where the government, under pressure from Tommy, allegedly gave him a desirable parcel and below-market loan for the construction of a Guro supermarket. However, Tommy was found innocent in the case after several key witnesses, including Habibie aide Rahardi Ramelan, changed their testimony and declared that the deal did not. Habibie's government stabilized the economy in the face of the Asian financial crisis and the chaos of the last few months of Suharto's presidency. In May 1999, Habibie directed that an ID card was sufficient proof of Indonesian citizenship, revoking the previous requirement for a Letter of Evidence of Republic of Indonesia's Citizenship, SBKRI. Additionally, he lifted restrictions on the teaching of Mandarin Chinese. Habibie's government began to make conciliatory gestures towards Chinese Indonesians who, because of their elite status, were targeted in the riots of 1998. In September 1998, Habibie issued a presidential instruction forbidding use of the terms pribumi and non-pribumi to differentiate indigenous and non-indigenous Indonesians. Although he had been viewed as leading a transitional government, Habibie seemed determined to continue as president. He was initially unclear about whether he would seek a full term as president when he announced parliamentary elections in June 1998. Habibie faced opposition from many within the government party, Golkar. In July 1998, he struggled to win control of Golkar by appointing Akbar Tanjung as chair of the party, but was ultimately able to defeat a rival camp including former Vice President Tri Sutrisno, Defense Minister Edi Sudrajat, Siswano Yudohusodo, and Sarwano Kusumatmaja. Habibie began to lose support from Akbar Tanjung and a faction in Golkar, composed of both reformers and hardliners, that wanted to oust him. In March 1999, Golkar put forth 5 presidential nominees: Habibie, Tanjung, Wiranto, Hamengkubuwono X, and Ginanjar Kartasasmita. In May 1999, after extensive lobbying, Golkar announced that Habibie would be their presidential candidate, but a large faction in the party remained loyal to Tanjung and opposed to Habibie. His political credibility was tarnished by the exposure of the 1999 Bank Bali scandal, in which banking funds were funneled to members of Habibie's re-election team. At the 1999 MPR General Session in October, Habibie delivered an accountability speech. MPR members then began voting to decide if they would accept or reject his speech. Habibie attempted to win the support of the military by offering the vice presidency to General Wiranto, but his offer was declined. Tanjung's Golkar faction broke ranks and voted against him, and his accountability speech was rejected by 355 votes to 322, and Habibie withdrew his nomination as president.
Saya, Presiden Republik Indonesia, atas nama negara, bangsa, dan Tentara Nasional Indonesia, dengan ini mempersembahkan ke Persada Ibu Pertiwi, jiwa raga dan jasa-jasa almarhum, nama Profesor Dr. Ing Haji Bacharuddin Jusuf Habibie. Jabatan Presiden ketiga Republik Indonesia, putra dari Bapak Alwi Abdul Jalil Habibie almarhum, yang telah meninggal dunia demi kepentingan serta keluhuran negara dan bangsa pada hari Rabu tanggal 11 September 2019 pukul 18.05 waktu Indonesia bagian Barat di Rumah Sakit Pusat Angkatan Darat Gatot Subroto karena sakit.
After relinquishing the presidency, Habibie spent more time in Germany than in Indonesia, though he was active during Susilo Bambang Yudhoyono's presidency as a presidential advisor. During this time, he established the Habibie Center, an independent think tank. In early September 2019, he was admitted to Gatot Subroto Army Hospital, where he was undergoing treatments for heart problems, namely cardiomyopathy, and died on the 11th of September 2019. He became the first president of Indonesia to be buried at the Kalibata Heroes Cemetery. Habibie received several honorary degrees for his contributions in the fields of technology and science, e.g. he was awarded an honorary DSc degree from the Cranfield Institute of Technology, United Kingdom, and Dr. H.C. degrees from Chungbuk National University and Hankuk University of Foreign Studies, South Korea, for his services to aircraft technology. In 2010, Habibie was honored with an honorary PhD degree in technology by the University of Indonesia for his contribution to science in practice as a technocrat. Habibie was appointed a Fellow of the Royal Academy of Engineering, FRENG, in 1990. In 1993, he was awarded an honorary Fellow of the Royal Aeronautical Society, HONFRAS. He was also named an honorary member of several professional bodies, including Malaysian Engineers Association (IEM), Japanese Academy of Engineering, Fellowship of Engineering of the United Kingdom, London, National Academy of Engineering, USA, Académie Nationale de l'Air et de l'Espace, France, Royal Aeronautical Society, UK, Royal Swedish Academy of Engineering Science Deutsche Gesellschaft für Luft- und Raumfahrt, German Institute for Aviation and Space, Germany. Movies. Habibie has been portrayed in several biopic movies based on both his political and personal life. In the first installment of Habibie and Aynan 2012, and its prequels, Rudy Habibie 2016, and Habibie and Aynan 3 2019, Habibie is portrayed by Reza Rahadian, while Bima Azriel and Bastian Bintang Simbalan portrayed Habibie during his childhood and teenage years in Rudy Habibie respectively. In the movie Di Balik 98,